Hello and welcome to Lesson 7 of Higher Computing Science, Database Design and Development. We're continuing implementation, but today it's about wildcards. You may notice this tab up here, Wildcards. This is the W3 Schools website, highly recommended. You may notice there are two types of wildcards. You've got wildcards in Microsoft Access, and you've got wildcards in SQL Server. Now, because I'm using Microsoft Access today, that's the wildcards I'll be using, these ones, these two in particular. But if you're using any other version, basically anything that's not Microsoft Access, these are probably your symbols. So what do these symbols do? When we use the asterisk in a search, the asterisk can represent 0 or more characters. So BL asterisk would find BL, it would find black, blue, and blob, and any other words that started with BL. The question mark represents a single character. Now notice that the star can be 0 or more, so BL star finds BL. But if there's a question mark, there can't be 0 characters there. So H question mark T can be hot, hat, and hit, but it can't be HT. And these characters are exactly the same in SQL Server, except it's a percentage sign in SQL Server for the 0 or more characters, and it's an underscore for exactly one character. You can see the examples here are the same. So let's put them to good use. If, for example, we want to find the names of all dogs that start with the letter D, here's how we go about it. We create a query design in SQL View, and we select the dog name. If we look at the dog table, it's dog underscore name. This comes from the dog table, and it's where, now you might think you would just say dog name equals D asterisk, but this won't work. And the reason it finds nothing is because the name isn't exactly equal to D star, D asterisk. It's just a bit like this. It follows this pattern, but it's not equal to it. So instead of the equals, we use like. Now we find all the dog names that start with a D. Perfect. Let's save it. So that was easy. The next one, find the names of all dog owners whose address contains the word Summit. This is slightly more interesting. Again, we create a query, SQL View, and we want the owners this time. So the owner, we want the names of the owners, forename and surname. I'm going to use both forename and surname. Forename, surname. This comes from the owner table, and it's where the address contains the word Summit. Now, it doesn't need to be right at the end, doesn't need to be right at the start. It can be anywhere. So in order to do that, I just say where address is like, and there can be anything at the start, and there could be anything at the end, but in there somewhere will be the word Summit. So Summit with anything at the start and anything at the end, this should find all the Summit addresses. In fact, we don't know what it contains. They were just the names. So just to test it, let's run the query. Yeah, and these all contain the word Summit in there somewhere. They just all happen to be Summit Park. You may be wondering, is it case sensitive? Nope. Still finds it. We could do all sorts of crazy capitalizations. Still finds it. Let's save this one. And the final one, find all the walks that happened in the 90s. Now this is a more interesting one again, because what we could do is we could find the walks, right? And these walks have a date. So they started on these dates. But how are we going to find the ones that happened in the 90s? Let's start a query design, SQL View. And let's just choose the walk ID from the walk table. And it's going to be where the walk date is like something. But what's it going to be like? We could do something like, well, there could be anything at the start. And because it's the 90s, I could do 99 something. And this would actually work. But we know that if there is a 1990, so whether it's 1990, 91, 92, all the way up to 99, we know it's only ever going to be one single character. And there has to be a character at the end. So we could use, instead of the asterisk, the question mark. Because remember, the question mark is the one that represents a single character. And we could, if we wanted to, we could be really specific here and say, well, it has to be 2 digits, a slash, 2 digits, a slash, and then 99 something. Now, of course, this finds nothing, and that's because there were no walks that happened in the 90s. If I cert this, you can see no walks happened. In fact, it only goes back to 2020. But we could use it to find all the walks that happened in January, for example. Let's amend this. So this could be any year, but if we wanted January, we could just do 01. There we go. Here are all the January walks. And just to double check, we'll add the walk date. Oops, should be a comma. And you can see they all have the first month, regardless of the year. So let's save this one as walks in January. Now again, we could have used asterisks here, but you'll notice that this might not get us the exact results we're looking for. See, we do have some January walks, but here's a June walk. That's because it contains 01 somewhere. So that's where adding the extra, I mean, if we were to add slashes here, now it's going to only find January. But you get the gist, hopefully. So asterisks can find any number of characters. Question marks will find exactly one character for each question mark. So this is all going to work. There you have it. Wildcards. Hope you've enjoyed this one. I'll see you in the next one.